What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe. Always hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified as soon as we drop the newest content on the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into the pound for pound contest. Undisputed welterweight championship of the world, WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO. Everything was on the line last night between Errol the True Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford, and that all happened last night. And this is a fight where I must say that most of the sort of voting and different charts that people were doing, different surveys people were doing, turned out to be absolutely correct, because Terrence Bud Crawford stopped Errol Spence in 9 rounds. And this is a fight where I must say we saw a truly sort of once in a lifetime or once in a generation talent in Terrence Bud Crawford. And he's a guy that, you know, Spence and them, they were questioning his resume going into this. Who have you fought? This, that, the other. And Spence just came in there. He fought his heart out, but he just wasn't on Terrence Crawford's level. And this is a fight where me going into it, I sort of thought that Crawford would win. He would win on points, and I wouldn't be surprised at the late stoppage. That was my sort of prediction. So I was more playing it safe, leaning towards a points victory. But from, let's say, round 1, you could just sort of see the levels where round 1 is probably the only round that you could give to Errol Spence Jr. That was the only round where, just based on the activity, he came out, he was quite positive. The jab was good, the jab was effective. Crawford was more sort of taking a bit of a backward step. He didn't do all that much in the first round. He was doing, as they like to say these days, downloading the data. That's kind of what Terrence Crawford was doing in the first round. So you give that first round to Errol Spence. Second round comes around, as they say, and it was completely taken over, and the fight was turned right on its head by Terrence Crawford, because Spence, he did well, he was boxing quite well, but then he gets caught towards the end of the round, towards the last third of the round. I think it was around sort of the just before the 1 minute mark of the second round. You got Spence, coming in, gets caught by a shot, gets caught by a sort of left hand from Terrence Crawford. Then he actually gets knocked down with a right jab, and that right jab was a key weapon in this fight for Terrence Crawford. And it's interesting because he even admitted after the fight that was one of their things, that they knew Spence had a very good jab, as all of us do. If you watch boxing, you know that Errol Spence Jr. has a good jab. He's got a good, solid jab. It's quite a powerful weapon. And what Terrence Crawford done in this fight successfully was he took that jab away off of Errol Spence, and he used his own jab. And his own jab was really powerful, because one consistent thing you could see throughout this fight was that every time Terrence Crawford landed a jab, he was snapping Spence's head backwards all the time. So he kind of turned things on their head in this fight. Very, very impressive by Terrence Crawford, that your weapon that you've got, that people know you for, the hard right jab, I'm going to bring my own right jab into play. And every time I throw it, I'm going to throw it hard and snap your head back. And another impressive thing was, as the rounds wore on, so that was a first knockdown there, second round by Terrence Bud Crawford, and you could see that Spence, even in the fact that he got up, he was wobbled, he was bothered by that shot, he was hurt. You could literally see it, and he looked very, very phased and a bit shaky, even from the early rounds. And Crawford, just from that point onwards, just took over the fight and made it his own. In a sort of summary of this fight, you could not give Errol Spence Jr., even all the way to the stoppage on in the 9th round where it was stopped, you literally couldn't give Errol Spence Jr. a round. It's like you've got to be generous just to give him the first round. But all throughout this fight, he was dominant, and that's one thing that I thought it might be a bit back and forth. I thought Spence Jr. would sort of have his moments, have his successes, and I thought he may be able to put Terrence Crawford under some sort of pressure, but it just wasn't that way. I thought, yeah, Crawford definitely wins, but this is going to be competitive. This will be close at some points. This will be a tough fight for him to win, but it wasn't even remotely close. Terrence Crawford boxed like he was in his own world. He just, everything Errol Spence done, Errol Spence tries to attack, and it's like you could just see Crawford just sort of leaning back out of the way the punches, and he was just like 2-3 moves ahead of Errol Spence. It was just like watching one guy that's like 5 moves ahead and another guy that's sort of trying to catch him up, and it just wasn't working. And another thing with Errol Spence Jr. is that he made no adjustments. He was getting completely outfought and he was getting outboxed, and everything was going against him. It was just an easy victory for Terrence Crawford, because he's one of those guys that good counter puncher, and in this fight what he was doing was, even the counters he's throwing, he's not flicking with everything's hard. So even when he lands a counter with a jab, it's bang, it's hard punches. He countered quite well with the left uppercut and right uppercut as well, and it was just all the way through a complete counter punching display by Terrence Bud Crawford. He just kept countering, and everything he threw was hard. It was stinging Errol Spence Jr. all the way through the fight. And then another disaster struck for Errol Spence Jr. when in the 7th round he's been getting countered all night long. He's been getting hurt and rocked and everything. And then the 7th round comes along and it's another nightmare scenario for Errol Spence Jr. because he gets knocked down and he's wobbling, he's sort of all over the place. But to his credit, Errol Spence Jr. never gave up, he never quit, he kept coming, he kept fighting, and gets knocked down once in the 7th round, gets up and sort of recovers. Then, as the killer he is, Terrence Bud Crawford jumps on him again, puts him down again on the seat of his pants, and then it's a 10-7 round. And literally, Spence Jr. just kept coming after Crawford. But the problem he had was he just kept doing the same thing over and over again, kept fighting the same fight that he's fought in pretty much all of his other fights, just one pace, just coming after his man, trying to break him down, and it just wasn't working. And he needed to find answers in this fight, Errol Spence. He needed answers. He needed to sort of make some sort of adjustment in his fight. He needed to change something, perhaps move away, or there's something needed to change. But I noticed that he just could not adjust at all. And we know, if you know anything about Terrence Crawford, that's one of the brilliant things about him, that he is able to flip things on, and change things. If he's losing a round, if he finds out he's looked down on the scorecards, he's able to change things very, very quickly. If the southpaw stance wasn't working for him, he'd be able to change to orthodox and just win the fight that way. But this fight, southpaw all the way through, dominant performance. 1 knockdown in the 2nd, 2 knockdowns in the 7th round. And it was the only weird thing about this fight was that not only was Crawford sort of seeing everything coming, every punch Spence threw, he just moved out of the way, counter with hard shots, and he was, in some ways it had shades of the Inoue Fulton fight, because all the counter punches, just as Inoue threw, there were hard punches, there were punches that jolting your head back and hurting you. It was the same thing with Terrence Crawford. Whatever counters he threw, he'd see your attacks coming, bang, 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 and the punches he showed, they're rocking Spence and hurting him and everything, and that was kind of the pattern of the fight. It was like, guys, they're just levels and levels apart, and that's something that I didn't really think I'd be saying, that, wow, there's this massive gulf in levels. I thought, yes, Crawford was a better fighter and everything, but just to see them in the ring together, it's just like it wasn't even remotely close. You know, it's like Crawford's up here and Spence is like down here. You know, he just made him look. He made him look like almost like a novice. And when you put it into perspective, he made him look just as bad as he made Amir Khan look, just as bad as he made Kell Brook look. All of them. And he just made and you think to yourself, Spence is a very, very good fighter. But coming up against Crawford, you know, Crawford made him look as bad as he did Jeff Horn and all those guys. I mean, you could argue that guys like Jeff Horn, Igis Kaviaskis, the Meat Machine, that they done better against Terrence Crawford than Errol Spence did. And I'd back Errol Spence to beat both of them. No problems. But it just shows you the styles make fight. But yeah, extremely impressive performance. And another impressive thing was that Terrence Crawford, after hurting Spence, knocking him down in the 7th, it was like the 8th round, he kind of almost took a break and didn't put the pressure on Errol Spence. And he allowed Errol Spence to sort of come on, then think of some new ideas. He took like the 8th round off. He didn't do much attacking. He just done little bits and pieces. He let Errol Spence off the hook in the 8th round. But then the 9th round, back on it again, adapted again, put the pressure back on Errol Spence Jr. again. Errol Spence roiling away into the ropes, and the referee gladly threw the towel, you know, not threw the towel in, but stopped the fight in the 9th round. It was a clear victory for Terrence Crawford. Some may dispute the stoppage, but I think if you've got any common sense in your head, you are not going to dispute that stoppage, because all that could have happened to make it worse is that Crawford could have just put Spence down once again, face down on the canvas, and it could have been serious neurological damage. It could have been who knows what could have happened. So for me, it was the right time to stop it for the referee, because not only was he badly hurt, but secondly, and most importantly, Errol Spence Jr. was not in the fight. He was not winning rounds. He was not making it close. He was not competitive at all. So the fact that it got stopped at the time it got stopped was a brilliant stoppage, because it's one thing if the fight's close and then one guy gets hurt and then you give him a chance to recover. That's fair enough. But in this fight, it was like, no, this guy's suffering a beatdown and he's getting knocked all over the place. I'm going to stop it. And that was fair enough on the referee's part. So Terrence Bud Crawford destroys Errol Spence Jr. and he does it with ease. He didn't, for me, when I was looking at the fight, it's like he didn't even break a sweat. He didn't even need to come out of second gear to beat Errol Spence Jr. And it just shows you that, you know, much like it was with some others, you could say maybe with a Mayweather, just they get in the ring with people and they're just head and shoulders above everybody that they fight. And this is the case here with Terrence Bud Crawford. He's just been head and shoulders above whoever he's fought. And Errol Spence Jr. now joins that club. He was bravely talking about a rematch there. Oh yeah, hell yeah, we gotta do it again. Definitely. But trust me, you don't want to do that again. You do not want to do that again. It was a one-sided beating, and if he lets Terrence, anyhow, he fights Terrence Crawford again, he'll probably get stopped, and he might even get stopped earlier than what he got stopped there, especially if it's an immediate rematch. If he dares to trigger that immediate rematch clause, then I guarantee you this, Terrence Bud Crawford is going to stop him, and he's going to stop him early this time, because now he knows what you bring to the table. He's got the data, he knows your patterns, he knows how you fight up close and personal, and he'll demolish you, and he'll demolish you quicker and a lot sooner. So let me know what you thought about this. Yeah, pound for pound, brilliant performance. If someone says Terrence Crawford is pound for pound #1, no arguments from me, because he's shown that he literally is head and shoulders above. Even if he moves up to 154 light middle or super welterweight, I could see him possibly becoming undisputed up there as well. And he makes history yesterday, you know, pound for pound, undisputed welterweight, undisputed light welter as well. brilliant. Multi-weight, you know, multiple belts at lightweight as well. So truly a modern day great, truly a once in a generation talent. Respect to Terrence Crawford, fantastic win. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below, and until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. Catch you on the next one.